we doing tonight? We got the normal crew back together, but in case you guys don't know the normal crew or you're new to the podcast, this is our kind of review show of our lineups. We like to keep things transparent, so we always come back. But I always like to do it, and I can only speak for myself, but I like to do it with a lens into what next week could offer. So I'm looking at like what happened this week, some of the news and notes of what happened. We'll show you our lineups. We'll do some stuff like that, but there's no like, hey, this is what we won, or hey, this is what we lost. Like, obviously, if we have a big win, we're going to celebrate it on the show. We're going to celebrate it with you. We lost this week. But more so, it's more about like, did we do the wrong things in terms of a process? Did we just get unlucky? So that's kind of how I handle the review. And then obviously, Donnie and Gov are going to bring their own takes to it. And that's really what we're trying to do, is just give you our honest feedback transparently of how we kind of build a process. And I mentioned it in the notes of the description of this podcast. A lot of people don't realize in week one, there's so much information ahead of time. The lineup, the salaries rather get released early. You got a lot of time to prep on finding value and stuff like that. Now week 2 is more interesting because it's kind of a quicker turnaround. You got to digest information. You got to digest losing, making sure your bankroll management smart. You didn't lose it all. You didn't get too excited, on that first week. So I have the news and notes kind of pulled up, things that I found interesting on Twitter the night after, some interesting stats. So I have them speak on any topics or any major takeaways from week 1.
So just out of the little bit, do we want to go over spread review first?
Sure, we can do that. That's kind of your baby, Donnie, so I was going to let you.
Okay, so no shocker here. As always, show pick was Texans +3, which of course did not hit. 5-point loss. But that's just par for the course.
Yep.
I've had the Colts -1.5. Awesome bet, by the way. Titans barely cover at +8.5. So that puts me at 2-0. Gov, Panthers +3.5, and Packers -2.5 has him at 1-1. And Logan had the Saints at +6.5, which it doesn't cover, but they did look good, considering. And the Falcons +1.5, which also didn't cover, but very close. But 0-2 to start the season. So I thought it was a good week of football overall, though. I enjoyed
really good games. Like, other than like 1 or 2 like kind of blowouts, which you could see coming, and they weren't even blowouts. They were like 1-score games, but like you didn't expect those to do anything. Every other game, like 1-score game, could have been anything. You saw what happened with Baltimore, Buffalo. You saw what happened with Minnesota and Chicago. Like, the standalone games were really good. Now,
sadly, me and Gov are Panthers and Patriots fans, respectively. So we got to see our teams are still trash.
I mean, Stacey Horn had a great interception. I think my secondary is still good. I just can't believe we put $100 million into the defense and it still sucks everywhere else.
I waited a long time to see this come true. And if you guys know me, like, I will give respect to the Patriots for the dynasty they built. Like, you can't deny some of that. But I've always thought Bill Belichick was overrated as a coach. And there's no better year to point this out. Like, I've always been a Pete Carroll guy. I've always said Pete Carroll was better than Bill Belichick, and I got flamed for years. And you might still flame me in the comments today. But there's just something cool about Pete Carroll actually coming to a team, building a culture. Like, it was fun to see him on the sidelines. I found this stat to back me up. He's really old, but he's really young at heart. And I just want to mention, as a jokes, but I kind of believe it. He's still coaching young guys, motivating them. Bill Belichick's dating them. So that tells you the parallels of their career. Just want to mention that.
To be fair, I will say Belichick has aged worse, but he's aged into that point of where he doesn't go out of his comfort zone. He's refusing to be out of that comfort spot. He hires his sons. He hires his friends. He hires former players of his. He has nobody on his staff ever anymore that is not his guy. And that's, I think, the biggest knock you can have on Belichick. He has aged awfully.
Isn't it cool? Like all the old coaches that can coach, like Pete Carroll is the guy that wanted to have this award. He is the oldest coach to actually coach in the league. And maybe someone beat that because the age expectancy is just. But I wanted to shout him out there because I thought
Pete Carroll looks like he's 65. Like he's so energetic. I don't understand. If you told me that he was 77, I wouldn't believe you.
Yeah, and then maybe it is a gimmick. We talk about this sometimes, like with narratives. When we're building DFS lineups, sometimes the narrative is just true. And like it's okay to, like, even if it is a gimmick that, like, oh yeah, he's young at heart, like he shows up. Like it does have a cultural effect, I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm buying the Kool-Aid, but I'm buying it. I did want to mention, Don, you're not used to it. We did add a survivor to our kind of spread picks. We did win that as well. We took the Commanders to beat the Giants, so we did win that as well. I'm glad we actually took the Commanders because they didn't look that great, and obviously it's a big survivor pool, but there was a lot of people that actually lost in week one. I thought a lot of people got too cute week one survivor. So if you did make it through, just want to give people the update on that. What do you think the over-under is and how long we'll survive? I'm going to say we survive until week 8.
It depends on how risky we play it. Like, I think if we were just being safe the whole way through, I think we could easily survive till a week.
I was about to say, I think if we're safe, we can get to 8 or 9, just because I know of 8 or 9 teams that I probably trust to win certain games. But once we get
I don't want to play it
we
safe.
can't use those like gimme teams. That's going to be rough. Like, we're going to need to take a shot early so that we can save a Philly or someone for late.
Yeah,
it's against Dolphins.
I mean, it's a free contest. I do want to have some fun with it, but I don't think enough people are talking about strategy. I think there is kind of a balance between when you play conservative in these things and when you take your chance. You could argue we took a chance in the division matchup because some people, I know a lot of experienced survivor guys, they won't take any chances against division opponents. So there's that.
I think we're just lower on the Commanders than most, though, as well, and that's why we felt we could take them early.
Yeah. That's really the reason.
I know that the Bills and Ravens weren't on the main slate, so this is kind of why I wanted to cover it here before we transition to our lineup. But DraftKings, released this. The win percentage of the Ravens before the fumble of Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry being the one who fumbles because he never fumbles, like that just added to the allure of the magical game it was. It's one of those things where I'm just glad that I've aged as a football fan and can just really appreciate almost like the DFS angle and like kind of tucking away from my fandom a bit, and I can just appreciate 2 really good teams because that game, it might be the game of the year, and we saw it in week 1. So I want to point that out. Was there any other big takeaways that you guys had statistically? Because like I had some more notes, but we can transition over the lineups if you want.
Well, there's just he's somebody we played, so we'll bring it up, I'm sure. Mm-hmm. But I do want to point out somebody who I think is going to be lower owned than he should be. Maybe not. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Mm-hmm. But if you told me that Jahmyr Gibbs gets 10 catches and finishes with what 14 points or something stupid, like he had no points.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. Sure.
Like I will play that every single time. If you're telling me he's getting 10 targets in a game on the ball, I'm going to continue to play that if price isn't going up. If everyone else wants to get off this Gibbs train, I'll stay on it till it hits because it will hit.
We were in our DFS session, me and Gov, the session, the community that we were part of, and so he would back me up on this. I said the Lions offense could look really bad or really good. I don't know, but the new offensive coordinator definitely likes the short passing game, and he definitely wanted to get Gibbs the ball, kind of like a Kamara like role. That's exactly what happened.
Well, the problem with the Lions, their O-line looked awful.
Yeah, the rookie O-line, the guard from Rutledge, he scored one of the worst offensive line ratings in the league. There was no
screw Ben Johnson. I don't think Ben Johnson would have made this offensive line look better.
But that's going to be
maybe a little bit. You could scheme it a bit, but it was all offensive line, not the coach. In my opinion,
and they'll like push this conversation further. We know that this week is overreaction theater. Like in DFS circles, they call it like it's almost like we know that people are going to overreact, and you can take advantage of that recency bias. One guy that I know I'm just going to buy because his price is too cheap. He's 5,700. Is Travis Etienne because Tank Bigsby got traded this week. So it's almost like the Njigba ownership. It's going to have to get insane rates for me to fade Travis Etienne this week at like 5,300. Because even if this is somewhat possible, I'm going to want to go back to it.
Like even that's like the workload isn't even that bad. Like, it's even like 16 carries, 3 catches. Like that's less than 20 touches. Like 19 touches. Like that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and then Tank Bigsby actually played 5 snaps in this game because me and Donnie looked it up pre-show. He played 5 snaps in that game, so nothing it would go to Travis.
Well, he had 5 rush attempts. I'm not sure the exact snap count.
Well, I think it probably was the only time they used him because they had another running back in there, like Quinn Allen. So
yes,
they were using a bunch of dudes.
And Tootin also got some work. Like we know with the Liam Cohen offense with the Bucks, that's how Gov found out about Sean Tucker. That's how we know about White. So, Cohen does like to rotate his running backs, but how he was using the team creatively with screen passes was impressive. Christian McCaffrey had led up to that Monday night, had led in touches in 31 for the week. It was interesting. The other just interesting fantasy note, and we'll talk about it as we transition to lineups, these were all the high-priced running backs, even in DraftKings, who failed. A.J. Brown with 1.8, Nico Collins also failed. Jamar Chase only got you 4 points. There was a lot of wide receivers that failed. And in my DFS circles, they were just talking about, like, this is just a lot of coaches don't use their star players in preseason, so they don't get any ramp-up time, That it could be a thing, but that's just a crazy number for me. I'll transition to DraftKings now. Did you have the Millie? Because sometimes the Millie is interesting to look at, and sometimes it doesn't help us much.
I could not find it after... I didn't save it, but usually it's good to look at just to see what really happened. And if I remember right, after looking at it, the Millie lineup was Justin Fields, along with so it was Justin Fields, along with I believe Bijan and A-Chain. So chalk running backs, sort of. And then I believe it had Ibuka, Puka, and I forget. And Garrett Wilson. Yeah. So the chalk wide receiver, the pivot off of the expensive wide receiver. You didn't play London, you played Wilson, and that. And then I believe the tight end was Jawan Johnson.
Yeah, it was.
So a random cheap tight end that gets usage, like in New Orleans. That's fine.
And
I believe it had McCaffrey in it also.
Yeah.
And then the defense was the Colts, maybe?
That makes sense.
I forget that. But it looked to me like, okay, so that's a cash lineup build. You left in the chalky running back, chalky wide receiver. You made one good pivot with your stack of going Justin Fields and Garrett Wilson over a Drake London and whatever the chalk quarterback was, probably a Flacco.
Daniel Jones, I believe.
But you kept your running backs pretty chalky. You kept Ibuka pretty chalky. You only needed to get different from the chalky guys than from everyone else. If you can, just play the best plays around them, even if they're chalk.
And that's why I brought up this lineup, because that's probably what I could have learned from, or what I should learn from that exact example, Gov. Because I told you guys in that lineup builder show that I was going to play a Justin Fields lineup, and you told me that I'd be different enough. Like, you're like, if you do that, you'll be different enough. You don't have to worry about being different. But of course, my galaxy brain sometimes can't get out of its own way. So I just want to prove to you, like, even if you play a good player, you can make profit, but I left so much profit on the table. And like, it's not about how much money I won. I mean, this lineup did do its job in terms of making more than I put in. So that's good. But I think that's exactly what you're talking about, Greg, is sometimes to win these big millies or to have like a really good profitable play, we try to get too different, or, you know, you try to get too cute around your home run shot.
Yes, sometimes you don't got to get too different.
I mean, some of my plays made sense. Like,
even this lineup is perfectly fine. Like, you went Fields with Hall.
Yeah.
Okay. Gibbs, I'm fine with. Bowers, tight end. Okay. Leggett, BTJ, Mini. That's perfectly fine. Devontae Adams. Yeah. And then you leverage Seattle against the San Fran because you're not playing Kittle or McCaffrey or
Pearsall. You think this lineup actually makes sense? So I was thinking maybe
this lineup makes sense to me. Like,
okay.
Now, I probably would have had Garrett Wilson instead of Adams and a different running back instead of Brees. Like, honestly, I could see playing this exact lineup, but I probably get like Jacobs instead of Brees Hall. And play dueling running backs for the Detroit Green Bay game, and then, or like whatever I do, I switch Adams to Garrett Wilson, and then whatever I have to do at running back, I do. If I have to go down, I go down. Like, how much was Adams?
61.
Okay, so you would have had to go down from Brees Hall to get Adams up.
Yeah, just to give people an idea, Puka was like 1,500 more, I think, something like that. So.
And to be fair, you would have been around the ETN range there.
Yeah.
Which you do like playing ETN.
I do like him.
Yeah, so
I could see you getting there.
You could have gone to ETN Garrett Wilson in this lineup instead of Brees Hall and Devontae Adams.
The reason I did
you would have completely smashed if you did.
Yeah.
Even with the snowflakes of BTJ and Leggett, you would have had probably 25 more points. And 150 would have put you in a high level.
And Krosky Merritt was a pivot because I found out that they were that Rodriguez was basically going to be inactive, and I didn't want to bet on the Christian McCaffrey play because I did have a Christian McCaffrey version of this. I don't remember exactly what it was.
Well, you probably didn't have Gibbs in that one because he's the only guy you could have switched out.
Yeah, it was probably Gibbs was the difference.
Yeah, probably had
Gibbs was the late game guy.
Yep.
I could see something where like you had Gibbs and you went Gibbs and Merritt instead of McCaffrey, who's cheaper than Gibbs, and maybe like a 4 or 5K wide receiver in the flex or something.
Mm-hmm. See, I got off.
Like, I can understand your lineup and like, to make it a Justin Fields lineup. That sounds like something you would do.
Yeah. So I just want to show you, like, even when you get one guy right, if you have a conviction and you build smartly, you're still going to make some profit. So I think that's a very valuable thing to learn. Another thing is, like, people are going to victory like, oh, Chris McCaffrey was a great play. I was always going to play him. I'll be honest with you, even looking back at it, I'm glad I didn't play him because I know how I thought about that injury and the chances of re-injury. I just didn't want to play it. Like, I will stand up and proudly say I'm proud that Chris McCaffrey didn't get re-injured, but I didn't want to bet on him playing that whole game.
See, and we talked about it on the show last week. I said if we find out he's not practicing Friday or whatever, I'm not playing him. And I was really trying to be truthful to that and stay true to my word there. And I got to the point where I was like, I don't like the pivot on my line, and I didn't win, but I kept McCaffrey in and I didn't. It was just one of those things where I trusted the talent and not my gut, and I won out on that technically, but I didn't like it because it just fit in the lineup too perfectly, and I didn't find a change that it made sense to me.
But see, that's where, like, we will review more lineups, but this is the kind of conversation that I feel like propels us for week 2. because I think you meant that when you said that, Donnie. You weren't planning on playing him if he didn't practice. I think you meant that. I don't think you were trying to fool people.
I 100% I was
Once
shocked that
I
I
had the
played
Shefty
it.
bomb and the morning news that he's a full go and he's
Yeah.
ready and he feels good, I had no problem.
Exactly, Govett. And when you have new
But I feel
information,
like, again, I was still also playing Kittle and Pearsall in lineups. I wasn't going 100% McCaffrey.
yeah, but that's kind of my point with Donnie. It's like when you have new information, you're allowed to change your opinion based on new information. And I think changing that to that hedge, Donnie, made sense. You said, hey, I still don't trust it. I still don't want to, treat him like normal CMC. But that sprinkle of talent is still there, and I want a piece of it in case it goes off. To be honest, I had more Justin Fields lineups than that one. And I toned down my Justin Fields lineups because I'm like, I don't want to bet on it. The other quarterbacks were in that range were Trevor Lawrence, which worked out fine. I was like, put him in the wrong lineup. And then Bryce Young, which was a terrible, switch. And if I would have kept Justin, but you can't do that. Like, to me, it's more of a, did that play make sense for that range? And I stand by all my plays.
Is there something any of you guys saw? Like I was pretty locked in on the Gibbs targets. Did you guys have anything like that you're like overreaction or whatever?
You mean like,
because for me the stat lines like
I really hope JSN keeps catching like 8-9 balls a game. That'll be really nice for me.
See, I think that's realistic and we can count on that.
Yeah, I do too. And I really like that that's how that's going. Now, who was the other guy? There was another person who caught like 8 or 9 balls that I'm not sure is going to keep sustaining that. Who was it?
Chris Olave caught a ton.
Yeah, I don't think that's sustainable. He'll have a freaking 2-3 catches.
He got a hospital pass already this year. Like that one screen pass, bubble screen, he got, yeah.
They already blew 10. I know.
Is that why you're off him, Gov? Because like it would be a valid reason at this point.
No, I just don't trust that offense.
You don't trust the offense, right? That's what I was trying to get at.
It's more the Saints suck than their like medical staff is bad or anything. No.
Yeah. So you're just basically off that whole offense. Like you probably play Kamara, but you won't play him very much this season. Like you'll have to play him
I might play Olave later this year, depending on his health and when he's there. It's just I don't think he's consistent. So like It depends on his price. Like if because of his target share, you're giving me a 6K Olave, there will be better wide receiver plays. But if he stays in the 5K range or something, I see playing him because he'll have a 9 catch upside.
And I'm trying to find a lineup. I should figure it. Yeah, this is the one, right? No.
See, and like a guy I'm still going to continue to buy, and he didn't have a great week 1. And the offense in general for them didn't have a good week 1.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's foolish to get off it. I've so bought into it that it's going to work out. I think Evan Ingram with the Broncos is something I'm going to play at that price range. If it sticks around that and probably goes lower, it's something I want to keep on because I know it's going to hit 1 week if he's healthy.
It's a lot like Fanning, who we saw hit. Like the Browns talked about Fanning, and everyone knows who Fanning is now because he's going to be a waiver wire pickup. But Sean Payton talked about Evan Ingram as the Joker. He wouldn't even call him a tight end coming into week 1. He was like, I want to move him around. I want to get him involved. So I think you're right, Donnie. With that kind of athleticism, he's a guy who hasn't done it yet, but he could easily do it.
And we know Sean Payton values that position.
Yeah.
I know the coaching staff wants it to happen. So I'm going to keep banking on that.
That's a great point because there are some trends that are going to keep happening or should happen more often.
I don't know that the Falcons want to get Kyle Pitts involved. I think they do, but I have no proof of that.
Based on what we saw, I would tell you that Penix is probably favoring Kyle Pitts more than any other quarterback he's played with. But does that mean he's going to be a great play every week? I don't think so. But there are
and the thing about that though is we did see Drake London go down, so we'll see when the offense is out there and Mooney's there and London's out. We'll see what it actually looks like with Pitts.
Well, there's some recency bias that we should drop that we won't because we want to believe in it. But then there's also some things where you just got to be like, no, this is real. Like I would tell you, and maybe I'm wrong in a couple weeks, that like Jahmyr Gibbs usage is a thing. Now,
yes, I believe in that too.
Yeah, and see that we all make our stand somewhere. Like maybe that's wrong, but that's the stand I want to believe in. There are other things like another one that I believe in is the Dolphins. I think they're going to be a bottom 5 team this year.
I've been on the dumpster fire for the Dolphins for a while. So
wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I'm just now seeing this. I am a little bit slow. I'm sorry. I'm having. Gibbs had 10 catches this week. What the?
Yes. That's what I mean. Screw your fantasy points. I am playing more Jahmyr Gibbs.
I told you in that chat it could look really bad for the Lions offense, but the new offensive coordinator wanted to make things more condensed. He wanted to get David Montgomery off the field, which I was actually wrong about. He still used David Montgomery. I think the first half of 90% of the passes went to running backs in his offense. It was very, very, very bad screen, short game kind of offense. Maybe that's because Jared Goff was outside and he was scared of the Vikings pass rush with Parsons. I don't know, but the offense like very strange and dysfunctional, but very Kamara like workload from.
Well, I did see a take. Yeah, I did see a take that Micah Parsons being traded so late in the preseason and whatnot affected how the Lions were going to pass the ball just because you don't know when Parsons is going to be. We don't know how they're going to use Parsons. So that could impact your game plan, and you might want to be safer knowing your offensive line isn't coherent together. They've never played together because they didn't play the preseason together, right, Logan? Correct me if I'm wrong. But this group doesn't know each other.
They don't. They don't.
Offensive line's the toughest thing to get right, and they need to be on the same page.
Well, they're very inexperienced too. Like the guys who have been there are going into starting roles. Like Graham Glasgow, for example, played a lot of guard last year. He's now going back to center because of Frank Ragnow. So that's a totally different position, even though he started last year. I will say, like, there are things that we should pay attention to, like Tesla in his very limited amount of time looked very good. He obviously caught the touchdown. He played very little snaps. Campbell says he's definitely going to get him more involved. And that goes to my recency bias. It's like some things are the coaches are going to promise and they're just not going to happen. So is there anything like in week 2 that like happened in week 1 and people are just going to overvalue it?
Well, I will say this. I think something I value going into next week, DFS wise, is going to be the Patriots gave up 9 plays over 20 yards last week. 9. You're going to tell me the Dolphins with all that speed can't make it a lot more than 9? Or at least similar?
Tyreek Hill's going to be an interesting talking point this week, I think.
Like that's the thing. I like the I want to play one of the big play hitters for the Dolphins because I'm sorry, that Patriots defense looked awful. Really, really bad. And they do not have an athlete to cover that speed on the defense anymore.
And I'm going the opposite way. That defense is cheap, Donnie. I think Tua looked very bad. I'm going to attack the Dolphins if they're playing anyone that's under 3K on defense. Like, I'll play the defense.
That's fair. It's how the Patriots defense played. They're going to blitz heavy. I think that's going to stay true. And if Tua just hits one ball in stride for Tyreek, he's going to hit value.
Oh, you're right.
Like that's true. They're cheap enough.
Yeah.
So that's how I'm playing it.
I think both of our strategies actually make sense, and that's where like our viewers or people that are building lineups, they see the 2 alternatives, and then you have to decide what makes sense for you. But there's just so many bad ways to do things, and so that's hopefully what this show teaches you is like it doesn't always win.
It could be seen a little homery to go over Detroit, and then for Donnie to talk about New England and that. Like honestly, my pick is basically the same. Like I think that hour delay really did screw up Bryce Young's offense on the road.
Yeah.
I think it is better than what you saw. And so guys like Chuba and guys like Tet should still be high usage guys.
I was telling Donnie as we were waiting behind the studio, for you to join tonight, Ted McMillan looked very good. Like, that's where you're going to box score watch. You're going to be like, oh, the Panthers offense looked bad. And sure, they did. Maybe, Gov's right. They had an excuse to look bad. And maybe that's a built-in,
It's not even really an excuse. Like, they could have overcome that. But, like, they had an hour delay before halftime. So, basically, you have a quarter and a half, then an hour delay, then half a quarter, then halftime, then the rest of the game. All on the road.
In the Florida heat.
Exactly. In the Florida heat,
like
with
Florida,
high
you don't want to play in
raining.
Florida. Yeah.
With high humidity too, because it's raining. So like a very rough condition game to play. And it was close until Jacksonville like finally scored a couple in the late.
And sure, maybe someone's saying, "Oh, Gov's being home," but I think you have a very good point. We saw it.
I'm not saying we're going to be amazing. I would say that like there were pluses to our offense that will keep moving forward, and we will look better.
Well, I'll ask you this.
It's going to look any better though. That's what. That hurts.
Let me be the little devil on the shoulder for a second. How would you feel like just people saying when you box score? Nope. Let me finish the question. When you box score watch, Bryce Young looked like rookie Bryce Young.
What? No.
Like, the box score looked. Does that not concern you in the slightest? That Bryce Young looks like he reverted back to like shit version Bryce Young.
He had a very, very bad game. Like that's what his bad game is going to look like.
But we've had a lot of those. A lot more of those than good.
Bad game is going to look like.
I defended him very.
Not have those games anymore. We need him to move on and start having good.
That's what I mean. So, when do you hit the panic button as a fan on that?
Not yet.
If we're like 0-3, 0-4 with straight games like this, yes, that's when I hit the panic button. But if he comes out and has a solid game, even if we lose, like what was happening last year, we were losing games, but he's throwing 3-4 touchdowns. Like if he's doing that and we're 0-3, I'm not going to hit no panic button.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's how I am too.
If he's looking like this bad and somehow the defense turns it around and we're like 2-1, but he looks like crap, I might hit the panic button.
I defended Bryce Young quite similarly. I said, look, it was a bad performance. It needed to be better. But he also looked very good at times when people doubted him. He's won people a milli, I think, last year at some point. Like he was high. He's basically made people a lot of money because people doubt him too quickly. This is one of the things I was telling Donnie as well. I'm playing Tet next week because his price actually went down, but his workload, his usage, he looked like a professional. And if it wasn't for the bad game and the bad start and the weather, I truly believe his score would be like, or his price rather, his salary would be 1,000 more. And I expect him to be 7K by week 3 or 4. I really do. So it's still like 5,200. I'm playing it until it goes up.
Well, they're usually hesitant to bring those rookies up. DraftKings is usually pretty.
Oh, you mean DraftKings? Okay, I thought you meant the Panthers.
No. I'm talking about DraftKings usually they don't spike a rookie too high early on unless he's just like insane.
I think he will be insane. Maybe because we do have a lot of best ball exposure to the Panthers, so we kind of need them to look better. So transparently.
Oh, also another thing for week 1, a little bit. If you want my supreme overreaction, I will not be playing. Not because I think he's bad. I actually think he looked really good, but just what he was not given anything to work with, kind of similar to the Saquon situation. Genty, if he wasn't breaking a tackle, he wasn't getting positive yards. That offensive line still sucks. They still can't get any run penetration.
You're saying don't buy Genty,
don't buy Genty yet. Next year, if they upgrade this offensive line, I am full in by Genty. But that offensive line sucks still. That's why they couldn't run last year. That's why they won't be able to run this year.
I think you mentioned it just briefly off the top of the show, Gov. I want to believe in the Jackson Smith-Njigba stuff. I just think he got peppered with targets. I think that's one guy we definitely want to believe in. Why don't we review this lineup though and tell people like what we were thinking and what went right, what went wrong, and then we can look at some other ones too if we have some time. I think I remember right, Gov. You said like we have to play Daniels because we had so much salary. Donnie wanted to play Thornton so bad. Obviously, believed in him in best ball. That actually worked out because of some deep shots. But that's exactly the kind of player we thought we were getting. A guy who's fast, who's big, who, if he gets the ball in his hands, is going to make big plays. He did that, actually.
If it was week 7, it would have worked out. But because it's week 1, it didn't, to be fair.
Yeah, because there's a lot of value elsewhere. But, he played the kind of game we expected. He wasn't going to be targeted a lot. But when he was targeted, if he catches it, he has.
He got 6 targets, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, that's better than I thought.
Or it was I think it was like 5 or 6 targets. I'm just going off memory. I haven't seen the stat, but
where it's actually the opposite, and I was wrong. I owned up to it immediately with Leggett. I thought we'd see the opposite with him, where it's like he's going to get peppered with receptions. His yardage won't look good. Sure, I never expected that. I kind of expected kind of a tight end level performance where it's like he's going to catch a lot of passes. That point per reception will matter. His yardage might not look good. Donnie, you were kind of betting on Thornton not getting many catches, but obviously being explosive. We kind of got that. Daniels did exactly what we thought in this lineup. To me, he was fantastic. It also gave us the ability to pay up for Robinson, also fantastic. This lineup I thought could cash. It's just Gibbs didn't go off, and then Ryan Thomas Jr., we mentioned it for good reason. I think that delay in that game just threw everything off, not just the Panthers. I don't know. I bet on it a lot. That game just didn't perform to what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it was definitely a letdown game.
Yeah. And when you get a letdown game like that, Gov, you're just going to have performances like this, and you have to be able to eat that in a bankroll management. So I want to show this because we did make $3 profit because we had some sports bets. We showed you, our picks. Some of those picks I was able to tail. I was able to take advantage of some profit boosts, stuff like that. You should diversify your portfolio. I mentioned a lot last year because you're going to have lineups like this that just don't catch. Maybe they should. Maybe we have all good superstars and they just don't play well. I thought this lineup could have worked. Did you think we did anything totally wrong?
No, everything about when we were building this lineup, even though we did it in our draft format, we got plenty of correlation. We got plenty, we probably could have played more chalk, looking at that, if we're playing Thornton, we didn't need to play Leggett. We could have just played Ibuka. Yeah. Otherwise, Thornton probably should have been, although I don't think there was a really chalky, cheap guy. So it was we probably could have played Ibuka, or we could have played McCaffrey instead of Gibbs in this lineup and been fine chalk-wise.
Even if we would have went down in price, it would have been Hunter Renfrow. I'm talking about viable guys at that price range.
Thornton, I don't mind that play.
Yeah.
It really was who was our other low percenters that we could have switched off? Gibbs could have been a 20% McCaffrey, and Leggett could have been the 20% Ibuka. Mm-hmm. We still would have had a 1% play and a sub 10% quarterback and pass catcher. So we would have been fine there, and that would have been a better play that did hit. BTJ, again, he got the rushing touchdown, but
we got lucky to get that rushing touchdown.
Just that game environment, and then the fact that Panthers secondary is still solid, even though the rest of our defense still sucks.
Mm-hmm. I think given the game environment, I was just going to say, I think we got kind of lucky to get the Brian Thomas run out because that was kind of a trick play, and it could have went to anyone. It was wide open.
0 points for so long in that game. Although there was an hour delay in the early.
Yeah,
programming,
that made that game feel worse than it was, to be fair.
And just so we don't show too much homerism, we saw it in the Dallas Eagles game as well. That first half was amazing. The game was pumping. It could have been the Ravens and Bills kind of performance. Any kind of delay like that just throws you off. Like I'm big into human dynamics and like psychology of people. Like they're professionals. They're at work. They're supposed to follow a routine, and then you mess that routine up. It matters to me. Maybe you're gonna laugh and joke. But I think it really messed up week one for a lot of teams.
Well, see, like if this happened to a team, like if it was a game where I'm trying to think of a young team, the Packers the Packers are playing the Steelers. The Steelers benefit huge from being just an older team. Like they don't need that mental preparation. They know they've probably all been through that.
Yeah.
And the extra break helps them. It just kind of depends on the kind of team you are.
Yeah, I think
that's
right. Did you want to look at any other lineups? Did you want to talk about any other kind of macro strategies from week one that you saw?
No, because week one is a week where I tend to take more shots and chances anyway. Yeah. So like a lineup with multiple 1%, 2% guys is not surprising for me for week one. Even though, as we saw with what won the Millie, it was making that 20% guy pivot to a 13, 12% guy, one or two places, and then your 1%. And then, like, with this lineup, that's why I'm saying we could have gone to a Buka over Leggett and been fine. Because the Millie winner was basically Fields, Wilson, which was the same as having Daniels Hurts ownership-wise. It also had Bijan. It just had slightly better plays all around.
Yeah.
So
I felt
highly owned, but it didn't matter because you already had your core low owned that went off.
I only have one other football thing to close out on, and then I'm done for the night.
What's that, Donnie?
As much as I said I like the talent, and we did have stock in him. We have him in best ball, me and personally, and us on the show. Yes, Daniel Jones is better with the Colts. That Dolphins secondary is so, and I mean this, truest to I don't have another word for it, is such a sorry bunch of scraps thrown together. It is not good. Daniel Jones is not that good of a quarterback. Like, do not chase that, please. Storm Duck is starting at corner. Storm Duck.
Hey, Daniel Manning Jones can do whatever he wants.
Can I be honest?
Daniel Jones was passing to against Storm Duck and Jack Jones. All right, I don't want to hear.
Jones. That was Eli Manning in a Daniel Jones mask.
No, truthfully, I'm actually in the middle. Donnie, I don't think he ever sucked. I think
two things can be true at once, Logan. But he isn't that good.
Sure, but I think you're downgrading him too much. I think he was with bad offense.
No, I think he's a starting quarterback in the NFL. Like I like Daniel Jones. I think he can get them to 6-7 wins.
Here's a statistic that most people don't realize. When he went to the Vikings on their practice squad to kind of restart his career, I guess Kevin O'Connell really wanted to keep him. I don't know if people realize that. So he's had a terrible start to his career. Like, he's basically the opposite of Tim Tebow to me, where Tim Tebow had everything given to him. He had the perfect offense, buy-in. People wanted to believe in him. So Tim Tebow looked really good in that first, couple of years because everything was aligned for him. I'm kind of hoping the same thing for Daniel Jones, just on the opposite end, where it's like the first part of his career.
He can Geno it.
Yeah, like that's true. Geno's a better example. Like where someone actually believes in him. No, he's not a top 10 quarterback, but I do think he can be a top 15, a top 18 quarterback in the league.
He has a lot of talent. He's a wonderful athlete. Like, if you actually watch his runs, I know you have the blooper of him falling down on his face. That 80-yard run that he had where he fell down on his face was an amazing play. He doesn't get credit for that at all.
I kind of want my quarterback to have that kind of resilience. It's like DraftKings. Like, if or DraftKings, I meant daily fantasy football. If you're trying to win every week, you're going to lose. This is a loser's. Like you have to be willing to lose so you can win the big one. That's what DFS is about, and like that's the kind of quarterbacks I like to follow. So that's the kind of success story that I want to cheer for. Now I know I'm a bit of a
Anyway,
homer.
I like Daniel Jones, but like we have to realize that Miami secondary is actually just that bad as well.
Which is why I want to play the Patriots in week 2. Like I truly am going to play them against any.
I think that's just a good game stack if you believe the Patriots can play in Florida, which statistically speaking, not very likely.
Gov, any final thoughts for the people? Any strategy takeaways?
No, not off the top of my head. I will let everyone know that I won't be on the show coming this Saturday just because I'll be out of town attending a wedding.
Okay.
But I will leave my picks with these guys in Discord, so you won't be without my favorite play on the slate and my two
spread picks. Don't forget
and my 2 spread picks. Yes.
Okay, we'll get that done. I did not know that, but that's actually good programming.
Oh, yeah, I'm springing that on you guys live on stream.
That's actually better because now I have a question for you. So we'll have your picks obviously, but we won't have that gov gusto. We won't have that energy, that personality. So when I try to play a Galaxy brand quarterback or a cheap tight end, I won't hear that much guff. So you got to give me some. Is there anything you want me to do in terms of a rule or like just a thing? Because a lot of times you kind of center me, man. You really do. Because a lot of times
here's what I want you to do for me.
Okay.
I'm going to give you 2 picks for our draft. For our lineup. Make me go last.
Make you go last.
Like when you're doing the order, have you and Donnie go in whichever way, then do my 2 picks, then go back to you and Donnie. I promise I won't pick a quarterback. But I'll have 2 guys for the lineup.
Fair enough.
Pick a quarterback.
Any specific rules for Donnie? Because Donnie, I actually feel like Donnie, you're a better DFS player than you admit, and you play it casual sometimes. You're like, I just do this for entertainment, but I feel like you're actually a pretty good builder.
Donnie, here's something for you. Don't let Logan do something crazy with the Survivor pick this week. We can do that another week.
I got you. I might go crazy though. I won't. I'll tell you this. I will not let the Patriots be the team pick. I will say that.
No. Yeah, exactly. No, none of that. None of that shit.
I don't
care what big team that's a major favorite that you want to blow this week. Do it. We'll deal with it next week.
We're going Philly.
Exactly. Blow Philly this. I don't care. I don't care. We'll figure it out.
You might not believe this about me, but I'm actually very conservative when it comes to these kind of Survivor picks because I feel like a lot of people want to make like that big stand in the beginning, and they end up getting too cute. So I actually would probably rather go conservative for the first 10 weeks and just see if we can pick someone else.
And I would ideally stay away from a primetime game.
I agree with that as well. So good topic, good discussions. Hopefully, Gov travel safe. We'll see him again. I know it. He'll be back. He'll yell at us about something. I know what's happening.
If I have time Saturday.
Dante Thornton's getting in my lineup again, baby.
Tell the people peace out one more time, Gov, just for the sake of it, since they won't see you.
Peace out.
Take care, guys.